Hello and welcome to this test drive video. Today we will be featuring this stunning Mercedes A35 AMG, which is currently in stock at our Blackpool branch. You're definitely going to stand out from the crowd in this, especially in the bright sun yellow paint which it's finished in. It also sports the aero kit, which is an optional extra from factory, which just gives it more of that sporty look. And it's not all about looks with the A35. With 302 brake horsepower under the bonnet and the four-wheel drive setup which it's got, it really is a joy to be on the roads with. Let's take a closer look at some of its features. With the aero kit, on the front bumper you've got the canards and splitter. Underneath the alloys you've got the AMG brake kit, as well the badge in there for the formative and turbo. Moving on to the rear end, the aero kit just continues to improve here. With the spoiler and the larger splitter and the 4 tips instead of the 2, it just looks that bit more aggressive. The spoiler looks right at home along with the usual AMG styling and the badging as well. And then, like I say, the 4 tips instead of the 2 just makes it look that bit more better. As well, little details here, the tips are emblazoned with the AMG logo. I know a lot of you will want to hear what this thing sounds like, so let's take a listen. Moving on to the interior, there's certainly no expense spared here either. Mercedes are renowned for their interiors and this is certainly no different. You still get that refined feel and luxurious feel of what you'd expect that Mercedes can provide, however it comes in a sporty package. We have the perforated leather steering wheel here, which is multifunction with all your fingertip controls. You've also got the paddle shifters here for changing gear. And located just beyond them, you have your windscreen wiper and indicator controls, as well as your gear stick controls as well. And then the fully digital dashboard, which is fully customizable. Having a look through the customizations, there's so much you can change here. From the 2 individual clusters, those are both changeable individually, as well as the center display, that can be changed as well. You can really nail down a few sets of customizations here and displays that you like and really make it individual to you and really unique in that way. Moving over to the central display, this houses everything you need whilst on your travels, from the integrated sat-nav to your phone connectivity, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, as well as your display for your reversing camera and the front and rear parking sensors display. Also within the central display you've got all your settings, so from things like your drive mode, which I'm changing here, and it does come with an individual drive mode so you can tweak that exactly how you like. Your settings for the massaging seats, as well as the ambient lighting where you can choose exactly which colour you'd like and when you'd like that to kick in. Moving down from the central display, you have your 3 vents here which are ambient lighted, as well as the aircon controls. You have your storage here and cup holders, as well as your quick access menus. Here you've got your drive mode selector, camera and vehicle settings, as well as nav and radio on the other side of that, as well as gearbox settings and traction control settings here as well. Going onto the door card, here we have the passenger side. This passenger and driver's side are both fully functional with electric adjustment, as well as memory position and heated. A nice bonus of the Premium Plus is definitely the Burmester sound system. And then the panoramic sunroof, you can't go wrong with that option. On the driver's door here, just showing you the controls are the same for the seats, and there you've got your memory position, as well as your window controls there as well. In the rear of the A35, I've got to admit, it can be a little bit cramped. However, adjusting the front seats, you can certainly get that space which you need. However, I would bear it in mind if you are wanting to be carrying people in the back of this, if that's a common thing, do just take that into consideration. Taking a look in the boot here, plenty of space, just what you'd expect of a hatchback of this size, very similar to say a VW Golf or a Seat Leon. So without further ado, let's get this on the road and see what it's like. So getting the A35 out on the road and testing this thing, I like to try and offer as realistic test as possible, trying to utilise as many features as possible, just so I can give you guys who are watching, and if you're interested in purchasing this, just a feel for what it's like and certain things to kind of keep an eye out for and if it would be suited to you. Now, first of all, even though this is a performance hatchback and it's going to need to handle well, generally with lowered suspensions you get a really harsh ride. However, with this A35 I didn't notice that at all, and with the bumps and rough surfaces of the road, it handled perfectly well and wasn't an uncomfortable drive in any sense, and you weren't flinching when you did hit a pothole or a bit of a rough surface, worrying that you're going to cause damage to the car. So in this way, I'd certainly say it's a positive, especially with the roads in the UK which we have to put up with. There's so many potholes and it's inevitable that you're going to hit one every now and again. So in that way there, I'd really highlight that as a positive with this. Now, even with that softer than usual suspension, it still handled incredibly well and there was minimal body roll through cornering, especially if you are taking this thing up to higher speeds. If you say we're taking this on track, or if you are just going to be pushing it to its limits, then it'll certainly handle anything that you throw at it with ease. Now, another performance feature which I really have to rave on about and basically say Mercedes have done a brilliant job with is the gearbox and its manual mode feature. Now, a lot of cars these days will automatically change up to a gear, even if you're in sport mode, even if you've got all the options selected to make it as much of a driver orientated drive as possible. Now, with that being said, the A35 does limit you from rev banging this. In terms of hitting that rev limiter, obviously it's not something you're really going to want to do that much, so it does stop that. However, you can change up gear as soon as you need to when you are high up in the RPMs, and it will let you hold on to a gear that bit longer if necessary. One of the more day-to-day features which things are going to be coming in handy when you're not thrashing this thing around the B roads. First of all, the electrically adjustable seats are spot on, and the fact that they both have memory function is really cool. Now, especially if you're going to have multiple people driving this, the memory function comes in handy there more than ever. If it's yourself and you get into this car after your partner's been driving it, with one touch of a button and you're back into your driving position where you feel perfectly comfortable and everything lines up just right as it should do. Now, as well, with the AMG and the times where you're not going to be thrashing it around the B roads, is definitely the valved exhaust system which comes in handy. Now, depending which drive mode you're in will change how this car sounds, and it can go from a refined, quiet, get around town easy car to something which is going to make a bit more noise and the odd pop and bang too. With the niceties that this car has, I definitely have to mention the reversing camera. As well, kind of linked in with that is the front and rear parking sensors display. Just going to show you an example of using it here. Just comes in handy so much if you're going to be parking or just doing any manoeuvre of any kind. Just gives you that bit more clarity behind you, as well with the guidelines moving, makes things a million times easier. As well, if you do go into drive, the display does stay on until you hit 5 miles an hour or more, and then it'll trigger off. So if you're looking for a hot hatch with a bit more refinement, this A35 is definitely the one for you. Mercedes have proved it time and time again. With the luxuries on the inside and the aggressive performance, there's no one who can do it better. Now, like I say, this particular model is available now at our Blackpool branch. However, I'm sure it won't be about for long. So get in touch. You can either go to the website in the description, or you can give us a call on 01253 298 833.